Hello, TRP. It's Scott back with you. Today's guest is one busy dude. He spent parts of the pandemic reuniting with his band Shadows Fall, who he had spent more than a decade with. He also formed another new band called Living Wreckage and recorded and released brand new music with them. On top of all that, since 2013, he has been the lead guitarist for one of the absolute most iconic metal bands and my personal favorite band of the big four of thrash. It's Anthrax guitarist Jon Donais. And we've got him here with us today on the record player. How are you, Jon?
I'm good, thank you. How about you?
Excellent, excellent. We've been trying to hook this interview up with you for quite a while, so I appreciate you taking the time with us.
No problem.
We were trying to hook up with you since probably round about the time that you first formed Living Wreckage, but then when the tours picked up and everybody was able to get back to work, you've been out in the UK, you've been out in Europe and all through the States with Anthrax. You did some shows with Living Wreckage. How did that tour go? You just got home resting up. How did that tour go?
All the Anthrax tours since we've been out have been amazing. The last one we just did with Black Label and Exodus. Great crowds every night, lots of sold out shows. So everything's going great over there.
Bigger appreciation from you guys now getting on the stage after being kind of locked down for a while.
Oh yeah, I'm just so happy I can do it again. There was a time where I honestly thought that it was over. It was very scary, and I was really down. So just to be out there again is the greatest feeling.
Have you toured before with Black Label Society or Exodus? So what was that like getting out on the road?
Yeah. Yep. I've been touring with Black Label Society. The first tour I ever did with them was 2005 with Shadows Fall. Mm-hmm. So I've known Zach for about 20 years now. But yeah, it's great because he's one of my favorite guitarists. To be able to watch him every night, that didn't suck.
Well, I bet. Let's start with Living Wreckage. You and I have a friend in common. A friend of mine here in beautiful Georgetown, Ontario, Canada, which his name is Will LeBreton, his wife Denise.
Oh, yeah.
Very well. And of course, Will's cousin is your bandmate in Living Wreckage, Matt LeBreton.
Yes.
So we're another step closer to making Georgetown, Ontario, the official thrash metal capital of the world. So there you go. Let's start there with Living Wreckage. How was the project put together? Was this something that was put together before COVID, or was this something that happened all through the pandemic?
I had the music for a long time because the last record I wrote was the last Shadows Fall record, Fire from what the hell is it called? I think Fire from the Sky. And then so it was a good 8 years of compiling riffs and songs. And Anthrax has just been so busy on the road that I never really had time to put anything together. So the last show for Anthrax was November of 2019. And I knew I was going to have some time off, but I didn't know it was going to be that much time off,
You didn't realize.
So I knew I had a window to work with. So I started jamming with our drummer, John, put together a handful of tunes. And he knew Matt LeBreton, the other guitarist. Brought him in. Matt from Shadows Fall always wanted to be involved. We always said that we were going to start another band. And so he came in on bass, and Matt was friends with Jeff, the singer, and brought him in, and it kind of happened fairly quickly.
You mentioned Matt Blanchard from your Shadows Fall bandmate there. The album came out in September last year. It's amazing, first and foremost.
Thank you.
One Foot in the Grave, Breaking Point, those are probably two of my favorite songs. Just fantastic stuff. I think it sounds, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but to me it sounds like a bit of a departure from both Shadows Fall and Anthrax. It's a bit of a mix, I think, but it's also got a little bit of, I don't want to say classic rock, but maybe an 80s sound to it, an 80s vibe to it.
Yeah.
We called it pop rock back in the day. But
yeah. Hair metal, arena rock.
Exactly. All that stuff.
I love that stuff. That stuff was the music that made me want to be in a band. All the 80s commercial stuff that was on MTV, stuff like Skid Row, Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, Bon Jovi, all that stuff. that's the stuff that made me want to be in a band. And then as I got older, I got into the heavy stuff. But that was my first love, was stuff like that, and I still love it. So I wanted to kind of combine my two favorite styles of music, which is thrash metal and that, and still have those big hooky vocals like the arena rock bands, and the heaviness of the thrash.
What was the
So
biggest? What was the
just
biggest
kind of try to
difference?
mold those.
What was the biggest?
What's that?
What was the biggest difference for you guys, for you, and for the rest of the band between those other two bands and this band? Was it just the melodic portion of it and having it sound
Yeah, I
like?
think. Yeah, for me, because I'm already in Shadows Fall. I didn't want to have Shadows Fall number two, so we're tuned to E flat. We're tuned up like like a lot of the rock bands, and we wanted to keep most of the vocals melodic.
Are there any plans for Living Wreckage to get back into a studio? Not the album's only been out for less than a year, but
Yeah, we're actually we've been in the studio this week. We're demoing out new stuff right now, so hopefully it won't be long until we're recording the next one.
sweet. I want to talk a bit about Anthrax as well. We talked about the tour. I'm assuming this is Anthrax on break now for a little while, and you're going to get some rest. You joined Anthrax in 2013 when you were with Shadows Fall. How did the chance explain to me just how you got into Anthrax, how that opportunity came up?
Well, Rob, the former lead guitar player, let me know that he was leaving the band and asked if I was interested in filling in for him. And of course, yeah, why wouldn't I? I love Anthrax. I grew up listening to them, so I jumped at that opportunity. And then I filled in for a tour in 2013. They just kept having tours come up, and I never left.
Well, that's awesome. It's amazing that you got the job from the guy who had the job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um,
He recommended me, and I knew those guys before. Played lots of shows with them, so they wanted, I guess, somebody they knew come in instead of trying out people and not knowing how they are. I mean, you have to live with these people nonstop, so that's almost more important than you're playing.
what's it like walking in there the first time as a member of the band and sort of looking at these guys that you grew up kind of,
Yeah, it was nerve wracking. The first show I did with them was in Australia, and I never even got to jam with the band. It was just like here, know these songs. I jammed with Scott a little bit, and he showed me the riffs or whatever I was doing wrong. But besides hanging with Scott for a little bit, I never got to jam with the rest of the guys. And yeah, I was just throw and go up there. It was a nerve wracking flight, because it takes over 24 hours to get there from where I live. So had a lot of time just sit in that seat and freak yourself out.
adrenaline takes over, I guess, once you get up there.
Yeah.
We have debates come up here at TRP all the time about who was the best of the big four. For me, it was always Anthrax. My favorite record from Anthrax was State of Euphoria. I worked in a record store when the record company guy came in to put up the posters on the walls, and I asked him for a poster. I still have it somewhere, but it pissed my mom off because it was this massive poster of the Yellow album cover from that.
Right.
What was your favorite Anthrax album when you
Well, that was my first Anthrax record. I remember seeing Antisocial on MTV, turned dial MTV,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and ended up buying the tape shortly after that, and I fell in love with it right away. So that one always has a special place for me.
Which of the four, and you don't have to say Anthrax, but when you were growing up, which of the four of the big four did you have a favorite one out of the four?
Well, Metallica was pretty much how I started playing guitar because uh,
You and a lot of other
I
people.
yeah that was it. Like the Metallica tab books pretty much started me on guitar. I had a guitar teacher and I had an electric guitar. I didn't even know how to do a power chord yet. I was doing the full G, C, D chords. And he goes, "Do you know how to read tab?" I was like, had no idea what the hell he was talking about. So he went down to the music store, which I was taking it in. And he went downstairs and grabbed me the Black Album tab book. And he's like, "Oh, this is how you read tab." And I was like, oh, really? All right. So I got that and just bought all the rest of them. You know, Master of Puppets, Ride Light, and just locked myself in a room and just learn a bunch of Metallica riffs.
When you were growing up, was it always metal? Was it always metal and hard rock? I mean, did you like any other style of music at all?
Yeah, I loved a lot of the '80s pop. I loved stuff like Huey Lewis and Daryl Hall and John Oates, Michael Jackson, stuff like that. I still loved that kind of stuff. But yeah, the rock was definitely did something else. That was I still don't get sick of it. All those bands.
Have you ever thought about pulling a Disturbed or whatever and taking one of those old pop songs and doing it with Living Wreckage, for example?
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, I definitely thought about it, but it just never really happened. But because Living Wreckage, when we play, sometimes we just play local bars and we have to fill a couple hours. So we do a bunch of covers too. So we've done stuff like Bryan Adams and stuff like that just for fun drinking music, but we never recorded anything like that.
During the pandemic, you also reunited with, I mentioned it off the top, reunited with Shadows Fall. Did some limited shows with them again.
Yeah.
What was it like to get back on stage with those guys who you worked with for so long?
Oh, that was great because I started that band when I was 17, so um, it was great. The show was sold out, which felt great, and it's just I did miss playing that stuff. So it was fun. It was great seeing everyone again, and we're still jamming. Ever since that show, we've been jamming whenever we can, whenever because Jay also plays for Overkill. So it's our schedules that kind of make it hard for us to get together. But and then Brian doesn't live near us, so we don't really get together with Brian so much. But when Jay and I are both home, we Shadows Falls jamming whenever we can.
Have you guys made any plans or talked about going back into the studio to do another record?
Yes, we have. We're actually working on new music. Actually, tomorrow I got to jam with those guys. I've got 4 songs so far that Jay and I have got. You know, just demo work. It's him playing drums and me guitar, and we're just taking it day by day. You know, we don't have a record label. We don't have any kind of timetable. It's just we're writing, and when it feels right, we'll release it. You know, whenever.
Do you guys write in the studio? Like, do you always write in the studio, or do you take a lot of stuff into the studio with you and then start recording?
Well, we practice at Matt's house, and Matt has a studio in his house, so it's pretty easy to just record stuff right away. But as far as where we're going to record the real, I don't know whether it's going to be an EP or it's going to be a full length, but that hasn't been decided yet.
I know, like I said, you've had a few weeks off since the Anthrax tour. I hope you get a little bit of rest before you head back in to do everything else. I don't know how you can keep. I couldn't keep the songs from one band in my head long enough to be able to get on stage. So how you can possibly keep 3 different bands and all that music in your brain and get up on stage and play it all properly and absolutely amazes me. What is there a trick?
Yeah. No, I mean there are times where I do forget.
I imagine mid song maybe or no.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's just especially when all 3 are going at the same time. I got to get myself in the mode, whatever band it is at the time, get in the headspace. Luckily for like Anthrax, like that's the band that I play the most with for shows. So, but yeah, getting back to the Shadows Fall stuff, that can be a pain in the ass again because a lot of that stuff isn't easy.
No, I can imagine. It used to be easier for me to sit and listen to it, and now it hurts. Quite honestly.
Yeah, when I go to learn songs, like I get like again, or I'll be listening to them, like I have no idea what the hell I was doing there at all.
Well, I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate you being with us. All the best going forward, whether it's with Shadows Fall, with Living Wreckage, with Anthrax when you guys get back out. Will there be another Anthrax record? Or that you mentioned they're in the studio?
Yeah, they're working on the record too. So there'll be new music from all 3 bands.
Again, how you keep it straight, I don't know. I appreciate you being with us.
I'm ready, man. After COVID, I don't want to not be busy. I sat on my ass.
You just got married.
Yeah,
yeah.
So, got married too.
Isn't your wife like, take a rest, man? No?
No, she loves it too because she loves going to shows too. So we have a lot of fun. We go to a lot of live shows when I'm home, and we just missed it so much. You know, during COVID, we just had to sit in the house for so long that it's just I love going to shows. I love playing shows. You know.
Well, I thank you so much for being with me. Good luck going forward, and hopefully, maybe we'll get you into Georgetown, Ontario, the new capital of thrash metal. You can
All
play.
right.
You can play in Matt's driveway. We can make that happen. I think.
Let's make it make sure it's in the summer.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll talk to Will. We'll get bring Anthrax with you too. What the hell? Thanks a lot for being with us. We'll talk to you soon down the road. Take care, Jon.
All right. Thanks for having me. Take care.